Good morning, good morning, good morning, and a huge warm welcome to Carnation Crafts. We're live in the Carnation Crafts studio, and as always, it's wonderful to have your company. Feels like a long, long time since we've been on air, but it is wonderful to have you here. We've got something really, really exciting for you today. We've got a brand new expansion pack for Floral Dawn, and it is delicious. This is Happy Hollow 240515. That's the Happy Hollow die set. You'll find it on the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Show price today of $44.99, $2.95 UKP and P. It is fantastic. I know lots of you have already been on it. We have already been busy with it and we haven't even come to air yet. 15% has gone, Miss Tassa's telling me at the moment, and you'll find this on the deal of the day on the Carnation website. It's always easiest to find it that way when we go live. There's a massive, great big red button in the middle of the website there that says deal of the day. If you hit that button, it'll take you straight to the product for this, and you'll be able to, go straight through for it. It'll give you everything that you need. Not only are we giving you the die set, under that code that we told you, or on the deal of the day, it will go back to its original price at midnight tonight. We're going to give you free artwork, hand-drawn artwork from the Carnation team, and we're going to give you that absolutely for free to make all of your cards. So that is a really, really wonderful thing to have. This is all happening today. Midnight tonight, this price is going back up, so you do have a limited time to get the discount for it. I know most of you are already on it anyway. We know in the Carnation Army when it's time to get moving, and when we've got a deal of the day with an expansion pack, it's time to go. Happy Hollow, all about kind of fairy tales, mysticism, the wonderful kind of idea of walking through a forest and seeing a little house and all the elements to it. It's got that kind of fairy tale feel to it, and I have loved playing with it. It's really chunky and lovely and visually really pleasing, and you'll see as we go through demos kind of how that plays. It's brilliant for shadow effects as well. It's a really important piece for us to have in our kit, and obviously it goes brilliantly with Floral Dawn, but it goes with a lot of other stuff as well. I'm going to show you the boards for it, and then we'll go into more detail, and then we're going to look at some finished samples for you from the DT team. We've got loads and they're incredible, so get all the inspiration, drink it up, and then after that we'll get to some demos for you. So Happy Hollow, we have got, look at this, that is just glorious, isn't it? You've got the tree line here, so this beautiful silhouette of this tree line, which is a card base in and of itself if you choose it to be. It's got layers as well. You've got loads of chunk. All of these elements really chunky down at the bottom round, so we can lift this and raise this on foam tape to our heart's content, at which point you create the idea of visual perspective of walking into a piece. So consider then using snippability to cut away, say, just for instance, this little piece. If you've got this raised, have that behind it, so you've got a walkthrough, a little forest walkthrough. Glorious, glorious elements. We've also then got this really cute little sort of nook, a little house. Who lives there? Who's in the house? It's really, really sweet. No, Taz, you don't live there. Really, really cute. You've got the little stool outside, that beautiful little light hanging down. It's really glorious, isn't it? Bring in pure enchantment. Get those fairies in there. Bring in the little mice. They could be very busy doing lots of things, couldn't they, in this element? The woodland creatures that we've got from Carnation, so many things. But I really, really love these decoupage elements, these big, big chunky pieces that allow us to build a full picture. You've got the sun or the moon, depending which way you want to look at it. You've got the cloud formations as well. You've got those great big chunky clouds. I love this one for putting sentiments on. I think it's really sweet as a sentiment holder. And you've got loads of building elements to it. What I also love about this is where you've got the little cloud, you can see the cut lines just sitting there and there. You can actually release the pips on those and change the cloud formation, which is really nice as well, so you can build this full scene. From there we go to the second board, and this, look at that. Aren't those just a joy to look at? Those beautiful, beautiful florals, really pretty elements, and this stunning foliage that comes in. It matches in with the original board that we showed you there because it's all got that chunk, hasn't it? That height. It's very bold and wonderfully visual. You've also got your grounding device here, which is that little wall, so we can build full scenes. Does it have to all go together? No. Can you use it in separate elements? Absolutely. And we're going to show you that as we go through the finished samples for you. So you'll see how the DT team have handled it. Lots of different ways, and the inspiration is incredible. But you need to obviously, excuse me, get ahead of us. 240515. That's the Happy Hollow die set. Normal price $49.99. Show price today $44.99. $2.95 UK P&P. The reason that we get the expansion packs and the reason that we have the expansion packs is it's a small set of dies that allow us to literally expand our crafting. So we can take loads of elements from different collections. We can use it independently, but it means we expand what we've got and it gives us more options as crafters. That's always going to be one of our most important needs. It gives us this kind of open doorway to just produce different elements. And that's what we're looking for. And that's why these are so necessary, because they literally give us the power to take our crafting further. 240515, go and have a look at the deal of the day. Now, let's have a look at a couple of finished samples here. This is Tina's. I'm just going to place these in and I'm going to bring you different variants of the DT finished samples in here. So there we've got it almost in full element. Excuse me. You've got the tree, and that has then been made into the card base, as you can see. Those beautiful long line florals, the little nook, and then the little bunny rabbit. So really sweet, right? And then you'll see that we can change that and we can change how it looks. And this is the importance of Carnation, and this is what makes Carnation different. Because same elements, completely different card. Even got the bunny rabbit, but completely different card. It's so important as crafters that we have the power to change up what we're making, how we make it. It really matters. We've got, I love this one. Hold on. Just let me get my elements. Look at this. See the dimension? Isn't that just glorious? Simple, clean, effective. Do you want something that has nothing to do kind of with the florals because you're maybe crafting for a different occasion? Fine. No problem. Carnation will handle it every time. We will always give you the elements that are going to make your crafting stronger, that make the cards that you're covered for all occasions. You know, Nick has been in this industry a long time. He knows what's needed for what occasions, and he covers all our bases. And as crafters, we cannot have enough of that. And this is why these are so important. Look at this. How beautiful is that? Barbara Treadwell there. Glorious. That little fluffy cloud formation at the top with the trees. Really sweet, isn't it? Beautiful card making. Do you want to pair it back? Traditional card making. Stunning, right? Because it doesn't matter what your style is. And it's important. Carnation are so clever at doing that. We can have our own style and our own perspective when we're crafting. We're not dictated to by Carnation. Beautiful elements here. Gorgeous, gorgeous elements. And that idea of mystery. It can be for, you know, Littlies. It can be for the grown-ups in your life. It can be for weddings. It can be for anniversaries. There's elements in there that you can use for sympathy, because we're never going to box you in. That's not what we're about. We're always about expansion, growth, teaching and learning. And that's what we do when, you know, we make these. And we talk about people who are advanced crafters, and absolutely, but the most advanced crafter will always tell you that they still have not reached their peak. We can always learn new things every day, and that's what Carnation are always pushing for. Let's push that limit. Look at that. There's the back. Then we've got that in the front. So this is using vellum. Vellum at the front. You see you've got him sitting in the shadow just behind. So that kind of idea of that hidden closure. Then we look at the back, and the tree here is, can you see it? Acetate. Okay. And that's Janine's. We've got mirrored vignettes. So you get an image from the back, you get an image from the front. Clever card making. And something that doesn't necessarily make, how can I explain it? If you're not boxed into a corner when you're creating, then you're creating at your full potential. And we're never going to try and box you in. We're always going to give you those processes, right? And that's what this does. It's happy, it's adventureful, it's joyful, and that's a lovely thing to play with as well, isn't it? Barbara Treadwell there, I love that. So sorry. Beautiful sympathy card, isn't it? We've gone from that glorious kind of fairy tale into a sympathy card. Move that across for you. Look at that. Lavinia Newton here, just being an absolute genius as she always is. Beautiful. Breathtaking cards. Love it, love it, love it when Carnation bring out expansion packs. I'll just show you this one. We're going to get to demo and then I'll go through the rest of them because we do have an absolute ton of finished samples to show you. But Aperture, Aperture, Aperture. Suddenly it changes to a new home card. Each one important, each one impactful, and each one something you can achieve with the greatest of ease because we've got the tools that we need to go ahead with everything we're doing. And that's a joy, isn't it? Vera Bow there, doing exactly what Vera does so well. Now you've seen, this is an expansion pack, as you've seen, and it's sitting there. You can see it's a massive die set, huge, huge die set. However, with a limited set of dies, every sample I showed you there was different. And that's important because we get to play. Imagination's the best thing we own, and we get to play with Carnation. And the reason I say that is because having worked in the industry for a long time, often when you see a set of dies, most of the cards will be kind of the same because you're set with fixed elements. Taz is nodding. She's, you know, she's a producer. She's been in this industry for years as well and has seen more demonstrations than I have. But you get fixed in the elements that you've got. And if that's the case, as wonderful as those elements are, you're stuck with that and your cards are going to be similar to somebody else's. We don't do that. We never have and we never will. You're always going to have elements to snip, to build, to tuck in, to do different things, to do different elements, and we will always offer you incredible card shapes. And that's what sets us apart. That's what makes Carnation Carnation. So I hope you love this as much as I do, because honestly, when you get this in your hand and you start playing with it, you are going to have an absolute field day. And I'm so excited for you, because to have that in your hands and to be able to do all of the things is just wonderful. Yes, Taz.
We have already got a lot of people commenting in.
Hey, 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 lovely people.
So over on YouTube, we've got Karen, we've got Linda Poland saying she hopes everyone's okay.
Oh, back at you.
Spirit, who is saying good morning as well. Then over on Facebook, we've got Yolanda from Holland. We've got Rachel saying already ordered, yay. We've got Yvonne, we've got Alison all saying good morning, Jacqueline say good morning, Suzanne say good morning, she's watching from her caravan.
Hey, Suzanne.
We've got Beth who's saying good morning. Could you tell us, please, if there's any perfect papers that go with this set?
Well, no, not specifically with Happy Hollow. However, there will be perfect papers that go with Floral Dawn, and that will work. So they will be on the Carnation Crafts website. I think we can possibly get Taz, when I'm doing demo, to just have a look, see if we can get the number for you for those Floral Dawn. But Taz will put the link in the comments for you so you can go straight access to them. And they will be your nice blended colours there as well. But man alive, when you start playing, it's just so sweet. It's the sweetest collection. I love stuff like that. The whimsical, the fairy tale, because there's no limits. But I also like the freedom of then going, well, I need a sympathy card, and I've still got the elements to do that with. Right, let's have a look at demo. So these are my tree shapes. That gorgeous chunk, isn't it? That beautiful silhouette that comes from this is really pretty. So I'm just going to remove, apparently, the thickest red liner tape this side of Manchesterford. Right, let me get that off. Shuffle. Place. And that gives me my nice card base. And then I've got my matte layer here. I'm keeping white on white. What I will say about this pack is, if you decide to choose to do a moonlight version of it, because that sun can either be a moon or a sun, it's really nice if you use darker tones behind, and also take in maybe some mirror card as well, just to highlight the effect, almost that it's lit by stars. So that's another way that you can go. Let's get rid of some of this. I've got a nice 5mm chunk on this. I'm separating all of my layers with thick foam tape. And it lends itself because of the chunk of the pieces, so it gives it that freedom. And here we come, look at this. Take a minute for that. Can I just show that straight to camera, Taz? Just as it is, because as an element, I think that's an absolutely stunning piece. Have a look at that. Those beautiful curves and lines and that gorgeous walk-through scene that we've got of the forest. Notice how that creates an arc at the bottom, because we're creating a pathway in. When you're telling a story, you always want to be able to leave the person who receives the card with some sense of, I could walk into that card. And that's what Carnation do, isn't it? That beautiful arc in the centre is so sweet. Now, again, on a 5mm foam tape this time, just to add height in. I want this lifted from the base. Plenty of places to add that foam tape in here to allow me that chunk. Now, I've got my elements sitting. I'm just going to wait before I place that down, because what I want to do is just add some elements of mystery behind. And the way I'm going to do that is to just make sure I place everything with some caution. So I want my little house to be tucked in, and I want it to be behind my tree. Now, I know I'm going to be pretty much okay here because visually I've got a grounding device at the bottom. However, the midsection is very low down. So if I want to make sure my house isn't floating, I'm going to need to put that straight down at the bottom. Okay. And that's just going to allow that grounding device to sit. There's ways around it. We can use tuck-ins and we can create and change in different ways. So I'm going to show you that in a minute and play with that as a different effect. What I also want to do is expand the vision of it. So we're just going to make sure that we add in those tuck-ins, and I'm going to put some behind to start off with. Let me get this. It's all dried up because of the heat that we have had, although you wouldn't believe it now, because it's pretty chilly today. Miss Taz, would you agree?
Yeah.
It's been, considering it's been so hot to have gone where it is now.
It's supposed to rain at the weekend.
Well, it's bank holiday, so it wouldn't be bank holiday in the UK if it didn't rain. Let me just do it this way, it'll be quicker. There you go. Right, let's seat this and just place. Have you all got lovely plans for your bank holiday this weekend? It's always nice having that extra day. So I'm going to seat this relatively low. I'm not worried about the grounding device. Now, because I know that the grounding device is actually probably going to expose a little bit at the bottom, I've got a plan, a cunning plan to just hide that. So that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I want to just bring in a small amount of foliage behind, not too much, but I do want to just make sure I've got a visual point. So I'm going to place these in and I'm just going to tuck up just behind. Now you can see this one's really long. Okay, I don't want that much height on it. It's going to cause me problems. It's going to become problematic for me if I leave it at that height. So I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to trim that stem, lift my little house, tuck this through just inside there and hide my working. Okay, now that's got, I can lift and just manipulate where these go. So just placing one in. I'm not worried about them coming out of the side. I want that full expansion, but I don't want to pin everything down too tight either. So I'll just leave that where that is. And then I'm going to come in at the other side. Oh. Add a little bit more. Just on these two. Tuck it in. This one I don't need to trim down because the height's not quite so dramatic with this one. Just place that down. And then right at the back of the house, and this is going to be my sight line. Snip this. That might have stuck down a wee bit too fast there. Let me just lift and tuck. Tuck-ins are super important. They're visually something that is really, really impactful. Never underestimate the value of a tuck-in. It gives you a fuller picture, and we need those tuck-ins to just add value. Now I'm going to place my little tree, and this is why I've got it on such a high foam tape, because I want the distance from the house to that tree. We're walking in, it's that little nook. Now to make it more visually impactful, I'm going to start decoupaging elements, okay? And this will get rid of my grounding device where I might have had that exposure at the bottom. So I'm just going to build it up. So now we get to play. I'm going to bring in some of these florals. First thing I'm going to do is snip. Just taking that through, that leaf line there. Okay, I've got all of the snippability I could ever need, and I'm going to work those through. They're guardians of my house. Okay, so I can pin those there, and I'm going to bring in a little bit of moonlight, sunlight, whichever you might like it to be. Just tucking that under. Bringing in a little more cloud formation just at the top. We'll do it right in the centre there, just to build up that visual so that everything's seated. And now I can put this down as my decoupage element. You see how we're getting the fullness now and the shadows? Make sure I glue these down with that so that everything is where I need it to be. That will allow these to flow. So we've got movement. You can always go in and get rid of, or stick it down. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more glue to this and add this in, just as a little extra visual peak, which is what we're after. And I can just tuck that right down there. Tuck in, tuck in, tuck in. Remember, you're in control of your snippability. You're in control of your tuck-ins. They're going to make a visual impact every time you do it. Now you can either leave those flow in, or you can obviously stick them down. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I love flow and movement in a card. If it becomes a problem, I can choose to stick it down at a later point if I want to. But if I leave it free flowing, I can work out where all of my dimension is, where I want that movement to be, and how I want it to visually, you know, look. So there's so much to look at in this picture. We can see so many elements. We can crawl into there. We can walk into there. I want to go and sit in that little house and read a book. And that's the point. We're telling a story every time with Carnation. And it's a really nice way. If you're ever struggling to make a card, have a look at the elements and say, what story is this saying to me? And if you can work out a story from what you're doing, you've then got the creative feel to take that forward and to make something absolutely spectacular from it. So it's a little bit like, you know, when you see people making stories and they do the little storyboards with the little almost cartoon strips, you're kind of doing that in your head. Where am I going? What story am I telling? Right, so this is 240515, the Happy Hollow die set. Please feel free to use the QR code at the bottom of the screen. Just put the camera on your phone over that. It'll take you to a link. That will take you straight directly to the product. It is the quickest way of doing things. And also when we are, obviously if you're watching this in a year's time and you're looking for this product, it will still take you to that. However, for today, your perfect place to go is the deal of the day button on the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You'll see a big red button, deal of the day. Hit that. Take you straight to the product. You can download everything you need there, but it shows you clearly 10% off, and that is going to go back up tonight at midnight to $49.99. Yours today at $44.99, which is a really nice discount when we're looking at such a massive die set that's just so pretty and so beautiful. So fill your boots with that. And don't forget, this is part of, it's an expansion pack to Floral Dawn. Now Floral Dawn itself you'll find on the Carnation Crafts website. Just type the name in, it'll bring you everything you need, and you'll find any perfect papers, anything like that, that will be there. You'll also find elements that I'm showing you now in finished samples, and they'll be from the Floral Dawn collection themselves. For demo, I'm just focusing on Happy Hollow, but the DT team went absolutely nuts and created some of the most gorgeous stuff. Pam Simpson there, the queen of florals herself, brings to us a Now Relax. See the brick wall at the bottom? So Pam's using the grounding device. She's using the aperture at the back to create a different scenario, a different story. We've got here from the gorgeous Tina. Look at that. Beautiful floral display, right? Very visually strong. Because it can be one thing or it can be many. I love that. Isn't that pretty? The little rose on the flower pot on the stall outside the house. Talk about visually impactful. Little tiny lights from Janine. Now I don't know how well you can see them because the studio is bright, but if I turn it around you might get more of a visual. Can you see there? Oh, Taz is turning the lights down for us. Let's just take a minute to look at this card because it really is a stunner. Different layers. Here we go. Look at that. That's a story, right? Aren't they gorgeous? The things that we can only make with carnation. Storytelling 101. It's the way to just bring your reader or your visual recipient into your world. I love card making. I love creating. Vera Bow here. So many samples. You know when the DT loves something. Cute, right? I want to live there. All these gorgeous, big, bold sentiments you'll see in there from Floral Dawn, including the little creatures. So if you're wondering where they came from, it's from that collection.
Colour.
Yo.
It's on a special price.
What is Floral Dawn? How much is Floral Dawn?
$99.99.
What's the code for it?
I'll link it.
Taz is going to link it. Don't tell Carnation it's on special offer. We don't tell them the things. We don't tell them. Right, let's do another demo for you. So I'm going to do something slightly different in this one. I will go back to the house in the next one. Let me make sure I've got all my bits and mats. Let's pare it back. Let's do something a little bit cleaner, a little bit more simple. For those of us maybe starting out, those of us just want something very sort of clean. So I'm using just standard cardstock here, and I've created a DL shape from it. So we have got just over 4.5 by by 8.25. Shuffle, place, and let's begin. 3mm. Once again with the sticky. I think they may have changed the recipe on my foam tape and it keeps leaving a residue. I apologise. Right, halfway down, create your tabs, shuffle. And I've got these to match the length of the base, but 1/2 inch smaller in width. And that gives me a runner. And I love the runner effect on cards. Now I'm going light and then I'm going to dark to just really, really push out the visual on the runner beneath. I normally go the other way, but if I'm doing a runner, it's sometimes a nicer visual to have the lighter and then the darker because it's almost like a track on a race course, so it gives it that kind of clear visual. But then I am going to just give a visual relief on those tones by bringing in some white cardstock. This is a 350 GSM Smooth, which is the same cardstock that I use for my base cards as well. So you can see the light going into the dark. That gradient that we're choosing here allows a really strong rise on the card when you're doing it as a runner instead of having it sort of as a frame. If I was doing it as a frame, I would have changed those two round and I would have done the dark at the back. But because we're doing that long run, it's really pretty almost as a track. So it's just a different way of looking at the pieces and the elements that we've got. So this is going to be very clean, very simple. Easy, easy pickings, which I love. Look at that. Happy and pretty. Beautiful colours. Let's go in with some wet glue here. A little bit on my stem. That lovely lift, just there. So floating in midair, okay, the thing I say never do, but I'm going to build up the florals there. I just want the added height. So a little bit more of that wet adhesive. And lower that down, across that stem. So now we've got more fullness just sitting, and I'm just covering that working at the bottom. Doesn't matter if it's exposed a little bit because I'm going to cover it again, but I like to make sure that those workings have been taken care of. Now I'm going to bring this in and I'm just going to bring it across. Okay, it's going to go diagonally across my card. So I just want to make sure I've placed that correctly. So about there is fine. Little bit of wet glue just on the bottom of the stem here. And on those leaves, that foliage. Let's take this over into that diagonal, so kissing point at the bottom here. Seat that down. Leave some shadow play. Make sure your adhesion's just in little places so you've got that beautiful shadow behind. Just adds that visual. I love these florals so much. I'm so smitten with them. Aren't they so beautiful? They're the real stars, aren't they? Look at that. Okay. Now I have got that cross line. I'm not worried about it. What I'm going to do with this very, very quickly. Take my ball tool. Work them round. Just a little bit of dimension. We've got cut lines going down each one of those. Get those fibres to break. And then I'm just going to pull these round. So I'm just manipulating that shape. Making sure I hold them pretty steady. Fill them with some silicone gel glue. And then a little bit of wet glue just at the bottom to make sure I can seat it perfectly. What that's going to do is allow the bottom to be stuck down and it will rise on a diagonal slightly, obviously where the silicone gel glue keeps those at the top risen. So I'm just carefully placing that so that that's hidden. Once that's down, they will seat forward. So you get that very, very pretty visual. Now I want my grasses to come in here because I want it to just disguise, just sit in there. And I just add in that little bit of extra kind of oomph. And it's just a little visual cue. What I'm going to do is very cautiously place it so that I still get the red through from that grass. I want that pop of colour. It's important to me. Oh, that's my tummy making noises, Taz. I do apologise. So let's just place this in, cover my workings, but make sure the grass is angled so I can get this. I can actually lift that forward and put it just in front so it's got sort of tucked through. I don't want to lose the colour impact from it, but now I'm grounded at the bottom and that makes me happy. And then I'm going to come in with my cloud. This is on a full 5mm for my special friend. Place that just here, and then that final pop of colour comes in as we put the sun just behind our cloud. Because friends are always a ray of sunshine, right? Clean, simple, effective lines. Because it's important sometimes to find the value just in the colour that Carnation gives us. We don't need to over-egg it all the time. There's great joy in Carnation at producing clean cards because they're always so valuable, aren't they? It's hand-drawn artwork, so we get to really show that off every time we use it with our own workmanship as well, so that together we have this really beautiful pairing of your imagination, your work, your talents and your gifts mixed in with the gifts that we get from Carnation as well. So you're always going to produce something beautiful. Happy Hollow is an expansion pack of Floral Dawn. You can find it on the website www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. You can find it under the Deal of the Day button. It's 240-515-44.99. You'll find that goes back to $49.99 at midnight tonight. $2.95 UK PMP, and please do feel free to use that QR code at the bottom of the screen to take you directly to the product, which just makes things a little bit easier for you. Right, let's have a look at these final finished samples, then we'll do one more demo, and then we will scoot, because we are back with you at 12 o'clock with the Back to Wear of Just Like You, which is a phenomenal set. Some of you will remember it. And we've also hopefully got something special to talk to you about in the next show as well. Carnation have got a new tool. Some of you little ferrets who have been on the internet will have found it already, but they have brought, Nick has really researched, and finally we are able to bring you something very, very special. You can find them on the website. However, we will be talking about them more fully in the next show. Right, let's have a look at some more finished samples for you. Look at this. I love 8x8 cards. Glorious. Pam Simpson there. The use of apertures is absolutely awesome, isn't it? Really pretty. But look at this. Clean and simple. Thank you very much. They're beautiful, aren't they, those florals? Really stunning. Massive thank you to the DT team. There's so many here to show you. I'm just going to run through the last ones. So we've shown you all of them. This here from that was Barbara Treadwell, the wonderful Sue Dalrymple as well. This one, I'm afraid, doesn't have a name on it, so I can't tell you who made it, but I love it. Oh, this one's gorgeous. Look at this. Wishing you happiness and wonder. Pretty, pretty, pretty. What I love about expansion packs is the ability to pick and mix with others. That was Janine's. Pam Simpson here. Hello. I love that as a sentiment. Sometimes it's all we need, isn't it? Just a hello. Ooh, we've got an easel. We've got an easel, Taz. From Sue. Isn't that stunning? That's just delightful, isn't it? Those white florals are really, really pretty against those reds. Little bit of sunshine here from Sue again. Those beautiful blue tits in the background. It just smacks of summer and spring, doesn't it? Which we're just ready for. Not necessarily getting today, but we are ready for it. This one, again, unnamed. We'll have to call this person the Mystery D tier. Another from Janine. Janine's obviously very, very clever, but what Janine has very much taken into account is the idea of apertures and the way of utilising elements behind it. Okay? Because again, it gives us so much more depth, doesn't it? If you've got an aperture and there's something on the back of the card, that depth is the full mystery, the full fairy tale, the detailing that most cards kind of don't have, and so it takes your cards to the next level. Really pretty there. Couple more for you. The wonderful Vera bow. I love that. Pretty, pretty wreath. Because you can do all sorts. And then the wonderful Lavinia. Last but most certainly not least. Look at that. Glorious, right? It's so perfect. Beautifully perfect. It's what we need. It's what we need because it makes things so much easier. Right, I'm just going to drop all those, so I'm going to ignore them for now. One last demo for you, and then Miss Taz and myself will disappear for an hour, go and have a brew, and we will meet you back. But let's get one more demo in. Inspiration, inspiration, inspiration. The DT team, I'm sure, will post all of their makes into the Carnation Crafters group, so you'll get all the stills from them. You'll be able to go and have a look. You are allowed to take inspiration completely from the DT team. That is absolutely your right. So if you want to use them for inspiration, please do go ahead. Let's do some of the things. Literally the largest red liner tape I've ever come across. Just let me lift this. There we go. Oh, whew, look. That's a different kind of static when it's that big. Face down. 8x8, clean. Really clean base, large canvases, nice place to work from. Let's bring in some perfect papers from Carnation. The new patterned papers that Carnation give with the with the perfect papers are just so pretty. This is the little dotty one, and they're really all of them smack of a tablecloth on a summer's day to me. They're really pretty. Okay, so we're just bringing that stage closer together. Small mats and layers for this card. So I've only used 1/2 inch between, which gives a 1/4 inch dimension around each one. Just sets that stage. Little bit of colour. We're just introducing colour, but we're not dominating with it. Now let's build a full scene with those florals and that little nook, because I do want to show you more with that little house because it is beyond sweet. So we're going to build a full piece, but the first thing, look at these. Can I just say, just how glorious are those? If you were to put just 3 of those together, a ribbon at the bottom and a sentiment, that's a really glorious card, isn't it? See how you change things up? Really pretty, really, really beautiful. You never need to go over the top, do you? It's the joy of creating. This is not what I'm doing, I'm just showing you because they're so pretty. I could go for days with these, I love them. Right, let's bring in some different elements for you. Little house, let's come in with the little house at the side. And this is going to be my little nook. Now, I don't want it fully exposed. I want the secret of the house to be seen. So, what I do want to do is make sure it still can be seen. So I've got my little piece there. I want this to sit just off kilter, so not quite in the front. Or, alternatively, what you could do is put your tree there, put some florals behind, and have this seated at the side. I might seat that at the side, you know. True play. Let's play. Let's just put that in so it's just under the shade of that wonderful tree, okay? Never fix yourself on an idea because there's always a million others just behind. Small elements of wet glue. I'm so in love with this. I tell you what, this would go with really, really well, this particular piece of foliage. If you've got Bohemian Beauty at home, those feathers, what a pairing. So, stark absolutely. Are we going to build that? Yes. So I'm not worried at this point. Now, on this one, you can see I've doubled up. We're now at 1 centimetre height, okay? And that's just going to allow me to sort of give a further route into the card. It'll also make where this element is behind, it will make it darker. The higher the piece, the darker the shadow, right? Or the bigger the shadow. So the higher that you build your foam tape, the more shadow you'll create. And when we're working with something like a forest scene, that's going to be really valuable. We want to still denote that it's daylight, but by adding more shadow, it comes through that you've got, you know, lots of trees overhead. So there's the idea that this isn't the only tree, but it's the shadows that we can see from this tree. Up. Bring that in, just tuck across. Okay, nice and high, really nice and high. And we're going to create more shadow from that. It'll create more drama. I've got my grass here, and I'm just going to place that in. Now that I've got my seating and I'm aware where I've got my grounding, take the pokey, tuck, just get those little fronds in, and just build in a little piece from that. Make sure your adhesion's taken. If not, remember, we can add glue. We cannot take it away. Better to add less in the beginning than it is to oversaturate your cardstock at any given time. Okay, from there, let's build up this side with, I'm going to still put more in there because it's still too naked for me, but I do just want to build up this side. Similar to what we did last time, I'm going to take that to the top. I'm going to separate it with that beautiful white. Isn't that pretty? And the fullness from it. I'm going to turn it over. I've got a mirrored vignette. I want it to just work its way over. I don't want everything to be in one place. So by bringing in that width that I've got, it's just going to give me a bit more freedom. Pull that through. Oh, she says do it the other way, and then I put glue on the wrong side. Miss Taz, my brain is not working very well. Not that it ever does, but you know, some days we have the extra struggles. Let me get some more grass inside here. This time turning it over if I can remember. Add that in, poke it. So now we're creating a fullness inside the forest. It's just a visual because we're going in. We've got the shadows. My main focus is really over here, but this is just that fun, that play time that we've got. And I have got more grass and I will build that up. But I've got another of these fronds. I'm going to bring this in lower. I want it to just slightly seat off the card. So it's quite a busy stem at the side. And then we'll bring it all together with that glorious red floral. Just let me snip some of this away actually. That's it. Get some fullness down here as well. Just layering in. Now with your grass, you can of course just place it as grass as we have worked with before. Remember though, if you cut into it, let me show you what I mean. You can start to tuck colour. Okay, you'll get this difference, this almost variegation, isn't it, within your foliage pieces. And that's an option for you too. It just is a little bit of extra control coming your way. I'm going to use my corner element just to cover my workings down here. To seat in first. I'm going to place this one on top. Now I'm getting quite busy now, okay? So in order to create some form of piece, I'm going to have to raise this up. If I just stick it down, there's too much going on. You're going to have to create a separation. And the way to do that, of course, is either foam tape or silicone gel glue. Now I'm going to use silicone gel glue, but because I want it to be raised quite high, I'm not going to shape this out. I want to leave them flat because it means I can add more, create more height. And this is the importance of adhesion. We learn to play with it in different ways. This is a sculpting adhesion. And the more you play with it, it's called pin flare for those of you who don't know. Grab it from the Carnation Crafts website. The more you play with it and the more you learn to use it as a sculpture device, the better we kind of work out how much, where and when it's important. Now, I'm not touching that. I'm just going to absolutely leave it. I'll just make sure it's stuck. And that is it. Leave it. Give it that dimension. Give it that height and that flow. It's going to really pay off for you. Really important elements. Now, from this, I've got one more piece of the grass that I started to cut into. And that's going to sit at the front. Again, I'm raising height. But I think actually I'll do it over to the side. Just to give it that little bit of walkway in. What we're trying to do is not over egg it, and you do that, you can make something as busy as you want it to be, so long as you add some height. If you're not going to separate your elements, you'll just have a cluster. Separate them out, and they will be much easier that way. Guys, we've already sold 25%. We've been on air less than an hour. You're gonna need to shift. I hate to be rude, but that is the truth, because it's going to sell out obviously by the end of the day, and then often we find people come back going, I missed it out. So please do get ahead. The clouds that you've got here, these beautiful little clouds, this one has got some little pit marks that you can just separate here at the sides. Okay, can you see I'm just pulling those to pieces? It gives me the opportunity to change my cloud formation. I can create it in different ways. So I can have it as it originally is and maybe stick that in front, push that there, put that in, push it ahead. It doesn't matter how you play with it, but this allows me to tuck it into a different way. And I really love that. Different little cloud formations, okay? So play with that, see where you come up with and what you come up with. Little bit of adhesion at the back. Over the edge of the card, I'm just going to see that towards the top. My beautiful big balloon clouds, they're so beautiful, but we need a sunny day. We need to end on a sunny day, Miss Taz, because it's launch. And nothing is more exciting than a brand new Carnation Crafts product heading our way, getting in our hands and ready for us to craft with. It's the best feeling in the world. Happy, happy hollow. It's on the Carnation Crafts website, 240515 www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Head to that deal of the day button if you're getting this today, and that will take you straight to the product, and it will give you a £5 discount. 10% is off until midnight tonight, but it is going to go back up to $49.99, so it is a limited time deal for you. You can also find it on the QR code at the bottom of the screen, and that will take you straight to the product as well. Lots of different ways to shop with Carnation. Everything I've talked about today, including the product itself and the pin flare that we've used, the pro print that you'll need to print your free artwork off, which is also on the Carnation Crafts website, totally free to you. Everything that we've spoken about, the everyday glue, all of it is all on Carnation Crafts website. Don't forget, it's a craft shop as well as being a fantastic die supplier. Miss Taz and I are going to be back in an hour's time when we are going to bring to you one of the most gorgeous back to wears ever. This is just like you. It's all about parent and child, spring. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And we'll be back with it at 12 o'clock. So hopefully you'll see us then. Go and grab a brew, get yourself comfy. We'll see you in an hour. Take care.